7 deadly sins you didn't know you were committing, a Proverbs 6 expose. This video isn't for those who believe they're already perfect and see no need for change. But if you're open to growth, prepare to dive into a powerful reflection drawn from the book of Proverbs. These verses lay out God's expectations and guide us along a path of wisdom, warning us against dangerous pitfalls that can damage our relationships, hinder our progress, and sever our spiritual connection. In Proverbs 6, we find an intense list, 7 behaviors that God not only dislikes, but detests. These aren't arbitrary rules. They're clear signs of attitudes and actions that pull us away from a life aligned with divine purpose. Let's take a closer look and reflect on each one to see how they might be subtly influencing our lives, maybe even without us realizing it. First on the list, prideful eyes. Ever heard of haughty eyes? It's a poetic way of describing pride, the type that makes us think we're better than others. It's dangerous, not just socially, but spiritually. Proverbs 16:18 warns that pride leads to a downfall, and this kind of arrogance can isolate us from God and others. Jesus illustrated this with a story about a Pharisee who, filled with pride, thanked God he wasn't like other sinners. Meanwhile, a humble tax collector begged for mercy, recognizing his need for God's grace. And who did God favor? The humble one, because as Jesus said, all who exalt themselves will be humbled, and those who humble themselves will be exalted. How many times have we seen this in our own lives? The moment we lift ourselves up is often the very moment we start to fall. Next, we have the sin of lying. A Christian should stand for truth, living honestly and transparently. Yet, there's always a temptation to twist the truth, to portray ourselves as something we're not, or to hide our faults. Jesus once called liars children of the devil, whose native language is lies, because deception distances us from truth itself. And here's something to think about. If we repeat a lie enough, we might even believe it ourselves. So let's guard our hearts, because as Jesus taught, out of the heart, the mouth speaks. What we say is a reflection of what's inside. Now let's tackle a more intense sin, shedding innocent blood. This isn't just about the extreme act of murder, it's about violence in all forms, from physical abuse to harmful intentions. It's easy to think we're far from this sin, but how many people around us harbor anger and resentment that leads to damaging actions? Jesus redefined murder, teaching us that harboring anger, hatred, or bitterness is already a form of murder in the heart. This challenges us to look deeper, to ask whether we're holding on to grudges or letting anger poison our spirit. And then there's a heart that devises wicked plans. It's one thing to stumble into temptation. It's another to actively scheme for harm. When we let jealousy, resentment, or vengeance plant seeds in our hearts, we're setting ourselves up for destruction. Proverbs 4:23 advises us to guard our hearts, to keep them pure, aligning them with things that are noble, lovely, and admirable. Surround yourself with positive influences, avoid bad company, and remember, as 1 Corinthians 15:33 says, bad company corrupts good character. Feet that are quick to rush into evil. That's a phrase that might sound odd, but it speaks to a tendency to seek trouble, to hurt others, or to act impulsively out of anger or desire. Solomon warns that those who pursue evil are racing towards their own demise, and it's sad but true. Many who profess faith still act out in selfish, harmful ways, forgetting that God's justice is as real as His love. This doesn't just mean avoiding direct harm. It means stepping back from behaviors and habits that draw us into sin. Paul advises us to clothe ourselves with the Lord Jesus Christ and to avoid gratifying our base desires. Another sin, a false witness who spreads lies. Ever notice how gossip, exaggeration, or even making assumptions can ruin lives? God despises slander because it often damages someone's reputation and tears down trust within communities. Proverbs says love covers over a multitude of sins, urging us to cut off rumors and encourage prayer over idle talk. Each time we stop gossip in its tracks, we're choosing peace over chaos, unity over division, finally causing discord among brothers. Out of all the sins listed, God finds this one especially detestable. Words can bring life or death. They can unite or destroy. Think about the division caused by a single rumor or a harsh word. Proverbs 18:21 reminds us that our tongue has the power to destroy, and Jesus emphasized that a house divided against itself cannot stand. So many relationships, families, and even ministries have been wrecked by those who lend their words to cause division. Satan loves conflict, and by refusing to be instruments of discord, we defend the unity God values. Reflecting on these verses in Proverbs 6 isn't about making us feel condemned. It's about inspiring us to live in a way that brings us closer to God and to one another. Take a moment to examine your own life. Are there areas where pride, dishonesty, resentment, or a quick temper have crept in? How can you commit to transforming these habits? Acknowledging our imperfections is a step towards spiritual growth, allowing us to work on our weaknesses. If this message resonates with you and you're eager to explore more ways to deepen your relationship with God, I invite you to subscribe to this channel. Join our community for more discussions. Share your thoughts in the comments and consider sharing this video with someone who might need it. Together, we can build each other up in truth and love. Thank you for watching, and may God bless you on your journey.